10 years ago, Portalink pivoted from a B2B marketplace to become a global leader in offline order automation. Now we celebrate a decade of innovation and the launch of our partnership with Shopify. Together we're unifying B2B commerce by turning offline orders on. Marking the occasion at the Murdoch Center, the leadership teams from Shopify and Portalink were joined by B2B pioneers and an elite group of SI partners. Our boardroom session was full of positive enthusiasm, and when merchants arrived, our panel discussion was dynamic, packed with insights and real-world experiences. With $17 trillion of sales order value still having to be manually processed each year, it's time to deliver long overdue productivity and efficiency uplift for trading partners in any size, with an omni-channel B2B e-commerce solution that is fast, frictionless, and cost-effective. This is the winning formula.
Welcome to the launch of Portalink AnyOrder, an innovative, highly scalable, and deeply integrated order ingestion solution jointly designed in close collaboration with Shopify. We are honored that this launch is hosted in such a unique venue by the American-Australian Association. The international attendance is a strong indicator of how Shopify and our partners are making commerce better for everyone, globally. Shopify thanks each of you for coming together today, and we encourage each of you to network after the presentation to learn from each other and to explore how to help each other. The Portalink AnyOrder solution is a truly innovative and milestone moment in Shopify's technology partnerships and unified commerce evolution. Portalink enables B2B sellers of any size to accept offline orders into Shopify, apply error corrections with automated rules or manually in the Shopify admin panel, and to modify and manage complex orders all within Shopify. The days of having inside sales teams and data entry teams processing email orders into multiple systems and correcting the inevitable data entry errors is quickly becoming a memory in the Shopify ecosystem. The new frontier of automated processing of offline orders has arrived, and Shopify is honored to be activating Portalink as an enterprise technology partner to deliver transformative capabilities to Plus merchants of all sizes across all industry segments. Critical pain points for both B2C merchants and B2B sellers accepting offline orders typically include delayed data entry, duplicate entry in multiple systems, handoffs across multiple teams, order entry errors, complex governance structures, and outdated technology relying on OCR solutions. The challenges are pervasive, leading to constrained growth when a seller can't meet the needs of a fast-moving buyer, and ultimately to reduce profitability from multiple inefficiencies. Portalink AnyOrder provides solutions to these common B2B challenges because with Portalink, offline orders can be ingested into Shopify at any time with extremely high accuracy while applying business rules and pricing structures and providing a highly tailored experience for both buyers and sellers. The Portalink team took great care to deliver a compelling user experience and has received extensive positive feedback from a variety of teams and leaders within Shopify regarding the interface and workflows. Today's panelists will provide practitioner viewpoints for how compelling the Portalink solution is for B2B and how differentiated this solution is by being built on Shopify rather than as a standalone solution. In closing, Shopify is honored to have each of you in the room today, and we extend special thanks to the American-Australian Association for graciously hosting the event, to Andy Hoare for facilitation, to Agilent and Domain for serving on the upcoming panel, and to Portalink for the commitment to Shopify. Let's make commerce better for everyone.
All right, but tonight we are here to talk about this amazing world called offline commerce. We always focus on online commerce, which is interesting in the B2B space, but we forgot that I think there's somebody have the clicker, by the way? Oh, okay. If you could back it up there. Yeah, so we're not going to PowerPoint to death, but just to bring everybody on the same page, this number actually astonished me when I saw it. $17 trillion. This is the estimated amount of offline commerce that hasn't gone online yet. Just think about that for a second. $17 trillion. It's, by most estimates, about 70% of the total market. So right now, 10% is basically online. That's pretty consistent. I know when I've done this sizing myself, going back many, many years, you know, online, both in B2C and B2B, has never really eclipsed like the 10, 12, 15% mark because it just caps at a certain point. Now, that's different from online influenced offline spending, which is hard to kind of weave into this, but just pure online is still only 10%. And then 20% is our good old reliable friend, and I say that with sarcasm, EDI. But there's one reason why the 10 and the 20 has not pierce the other 70%? Anybody want to guess why that is? Come on, just shout it out. You got it. You weren't paid to say it, but that's exactly right. That's exactly right, because people are not going to change their behavior. That's just the way it goes. And so you either accommodate them or you don't. Now, over time, those people tend to attrit out of the workforce, right? They eventually retire, and the younger generations come through and go, why the hell were we ever not doing this all online? And I've seen people do this in companies where you see like a blinking green screen and they're like, what the hell is this thing? And the guy there is like, well, we've been doing like this for 30 years. It's always worked. Well, maybe it's time to change things. So what we're here tonight to talk about is a pretty interesting partnership between Portalink and Shopify. Everybody knows Shopify. I'm not sure everybody knows Portalink, but we're going to invite Tim to come up, the CEO of Portalink, and tell us a few things about Portalink. So Tim, do you want to take us through some stuff?
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We really appreciate you being here. Portalink is an Australian-based company. We're a company that has focused for the last 10 years on order automation of the all of the bad orders. Let's call them orders that create a huge amount of effort and frustration for merchants and for suppliers, because they're coming by email, they're coming by fax, they're coming via sales reps, and they all too often have to be manually entered into the ERP system or the order management system or the POS system. So the reality is that this has been a very stubborn problem that hasn't gone away. And so we've focused on that area. We've become very good at this. We're working with large global enterprise companies like Ecolab, Saint-Gobain, and companies like Schneider Electric on a global scale. We're in 45 countries around the world, and we are being recognized by those companies as a leader in the sense that not only can we capture the data out of those documents with 100% accuracy, and we can do it very quickly and efficiently. We can also then validate the data to identify where there are data discrepancies to help the customer service teams to quickly solve any errors or to pass those orders with zero touch. But we're also, one of our unique abilities as a company is to be able to fix this problem across the long tail from the biggest customers to the smallest customers in hyper speed. So we're talking about thousands of customers per week can be automated by our system and converted from a very manual, very costly, very error prone, very slow pain in the backside to something that is as efficient and quick as EDI. The only difference is instead of taking 6 months to onboard every customer, we're talking about a matter of minutes to onboard every customer and getting the same outcomes. So this is very exciting. What is also very exciting is our partnership with Shopify, because we have in the past been a company that has been working, as I said, with the big enterprise end of town. It's taken 6 to 9 months to implement our product in each of those organizations. The implementation that we've done with Shopify, the deep integration that we've done with the data sets that are already available within Shopify to manage online orders are now being leveraged for Portalink, making it a turnkey solution. And this is really exciting. Why? Because it means that even medium or even very small companies can now have the same benefits that we're seeing at the large enterprise end of town that we're dealing with, in a way that is not only fast, cost effective, but it's also something that can be done well in a cost effective way at scale. So we're very excited about this. Really thank you to the American Australian Association for hosting us today. We watched the sunset. It's our 10-year anniversary today, so or in a few days' time. So we wanted to celebrate that and also celebrate the launch of this new partnership with Shopify. So thank you again for coming, and thank you to the panel. Who we've got an excellent panel here today who are very experienced and will share some really good insights, I think, into this problem. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. So let's get right to the panel and hear what they have to say about this. So we've got Brandon Gracie, Randy Higgins, and Jonathan Day. So Brandon, you're with Shopify. Clearly, this is interesting to you guys enough that you came here tonight. Why?
Well, you invited me, Andy.
Actually, I threatened you, didn't I?
You talked
Yeah,
about
okay.
the sunset. You said there'd be drinks.
And I had you at drinks, right?
You had me at drinks. One of the things we talk about at Shopify all the time is the relative size of market opportunities that we look at. D2C is where we grew up. It's where we are the default in a lot of ways. And B2B is more than twice the size of it. We were in the other room before, and Andy, you joked that D2C isn't always seen as the sexy side of commerce, or B2B isn't always seen as the sexy side of commerce. I think $17 trillion market opportunities are pretty sexy, and so this is critically important to us. I started in B2B about 15 years ago, and when I did, one of the first meetings I took was with a large CPG company, and I sat down with them and I said, "Talk me through how you guys do this now." And they said, well, we've got some emails that come in and some text messages that come in when we're really feeling fancy. And then like sometimes the sales reps get these triplicate order forms and they walked me through all these things. Like, this is crazy. It's 2010. What are you guys talking about? I sat down with the same company at Shop Talk 2 years ago. I said, hey, tell me what's new. How are you guys managing your orders now? And they gave me all of the exact same answers. And this is a $50 billion multinational company that I guarantee everybody in this room has products at home from. And they are still using spreadsheets and triplicate order forms and all of these manual processes to put products on shelf. And their products are commodities. And they're allowing this unbelievable amount of inefficiency to sit in between what they make and putting it in my house. And now we have a solution for that. We have, for the customers of theirs that are willing to order online, they can use Shopify online ordering. But for that 70% of that 17 trillion who want to continue writing their orders exactly the way they've been, sending them through email, they don't want to change their processes, they just want things to work a little bit better. Using one platform, that customer, that prospect of ours can now say, oh, we've got an answer for everything. And so this is why it's really exciting for us to take a look at the partnership and look at the new market opportunity it opens up.
Excellent. So Randy Higgins, I've also known you for a number of years, going back to Acuity, even way back in the day. So you're with a new SI called Domain. Tell us why this is interesting to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Nice to see everyone here. Randy Higgins, I'm the managing director of B2B at Domain Worldwide, which is one of the largest Shopify Platinum partners in the world, focusing on enterprise. And I'm standing up our B2B capabilities. One of the things I've probably spent about the last 20 years working with stakeholders to get projects funded, digital transformation projects. And after probably close to $1 billion of funding over that 20 years, you start to see some common threads. And one of them is my customers aren't going to use the website to order. My products are too complicated. My customers are not going to use the website. And so as I think about ROI models that we've employed to get these projects funded and to help our customers to make the changes that they need to make to adapt to the digital world, we're always looking for areas where we can go wider. And I think, this idea of not having to change the customer behavior and yet capture these orders, bring them through commerce, and take advantage of infrastructure that the customer is going to invest in to stand up Shopify is a really unique value proposition and just makes that business case that much easier, helps our clients to go up to their executive team, to their board of directors, get CapEx released. We all know that's not that easy right now. Get OpEx released and make these decisions faster. So I'm really excited about that and grateful to Tim. I've met him, as he was starting to build the Shopify partnership and been working pretty closely with the team, and I think pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know when Tim briefed me on the product, I get a lot of briefings. The one thing that really stood out to me was the no change of behavior part, where you can just send an email in and it gets processed as an order. You don't have to tell anybody to change that. I'm sure in this audience, we have a number of people whose customers and clients prefer to use email to do things. And good luck trying to change them into something that's actually in their better interest. That's just a waste of time. And so Jonathan, I know you catcalled the B2B thing. That was hilarious, by the way. I assume your reasoning is similar, but down in Australia, what have you found is the reason why people are interested in this technology?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Certainly, I entirely agree that you can't get customers to change behavior, but on the flip side of that, they expect better service. We've been, as founder of Allegion, we've been operating in this space for 16 years. Our first ever client was B2B before even B2B e-commerce was a thing. I remember a moment a number of years ago where we walked in a large manufacturer in Australia, and they said to me, we had a client come to us and said, we love your product. You have the best product, but you're too hard to deal with. We're going to your competitor. Can you imagine? Like all of that effort that's gone into product development, the sales, the relationships, everything that you've put in, and you've got a great product, and yet you're still losing customers. So that expectation around being easy to deal with is paramount, but still easy to deal with in a way that suits them. So I think this is what's great about what Portalink does is really augments our positioning as an agency. What we pride ourselves on is bringing clarity and confidence in the complex. This is complex. This is hard. We can't wave a magic wand and have that complexity disappear. It's inherent in the nature of manufacturing and distribution. Okay, accept that reality. What can we do to make it clear and give everyone confidence?
Tim? You said a few words earlier, but what would you add to what these guys said? I mean, you're founder of the company, right? You're the CEO. What inspired you to do this?
Well, again, as I mentioned earlier in the earlier session that we had, the company that I founded longer ago than 10 years was in the B2B marketplace space. And we had, again, a fantastic product, in my opinion, that was a great user experience. And we were providing an opportunity for suppliers and buyers to come together on a single platform and manage their ordering experience with catalogs, inventory, pricing on a customer by customer basis. It was pretty cool, particularly in its time. What we found was that the orders kept going over the top of the platform, even though the buyers were still gathering information to place those orders. And what we realized is that these buyers need to register their order in their own systems, in their own ERP, in their own point of sale system, so that they can receive the goods, they can reserve the dollars, and they've got accountability and governance. So this really applies very much to the medium and large trading partners, more so than the small and sole traders. But it was a problem that we couldn't change behavior. No matter what we did, carrot, stick, didn't matter. So for us, it became a case of let's fix that problem before, and then we actually pivoted once we discovered this capability that has given us this leapfrog into the offline market, which is capturing data with 100% accuracy. We decided to make that our business, and we pivoted as a company 10 years ago and haven't looked back.
I can just add to that. I think what Tim talks about there is that this buyer behavior, it's not just that they're stuck in the mud or being difficult or whatever it is. It's just the nature of how these buying organizations work is that they do have mandatory process around getting things approved, signed off, specified contract lists. So I think for a long time, people have assumed that this problem will go away as new technology just makes buyers act better. This is not going away. Fundamentally, buyers are going to need to continue to use their internal ERPs to raise these POs, get them signed off within their budget. So this is here to stay. So instead, what we need to do is bridge that gap rather than expect that that's just going to disappear.
We were talking earlier, again, the large end of town is EDI, the smaller end of town is online orders, and in between you have offline orders. We were talking earlier about how one of our clients has, in the space of 12 months, they've actually automated over 40,000 of their trading partners in under 12 months. And that's globally. Now, just stop and wonder and think how long it would take for EDI to do that. We actually asked them the question. We said, if we did 44 EDI implementations a year, and they said, well, that's a lot. Well, think about it, 1,000 years to get to where we've got to in 1 year. This is a game changer. It's exciting, and it's great to be doing this with Shopify.
So Tim, before we move on, I want to find out, how does it actually work? I know we had the demo in there, but could you just talk people through? So do you have a little video or something?
I do have a little
Okay.
video, so if I can go back to that, that might be a good intro to, now that we've got the context, put everybody in the right frame of mind.
Portalink any order with Shopify. Picture this, a builder on site, a miner on an oil rig, and a team of buyers in an office, all placing sales orders. 90% of these B2B sales orders are sent via email, fax, or EDI to the supplier because buyers need to record each order in their own systems. Suppliers manually process B2B sales orders from thousands of customers. Manual data entry leads to inefficiencies and errors, slowing down the entire process, causing delays and frustration for suppliers and their customers. Imagine if all B2B orders could be processed as quickly and as easily as Shopify orders. Online orders that are error-free and incredibly fast to process. One system that could seamlessly automate all orders from end to end, no matter what ordering method the buyer uses. A streamlined process that is fast, frictionless, cost-effective, error-free, and zero-touch. Stop imagining. Introducing Portalink Any Order, a revolutionary partnership with Shopify. Experience the speed, accuracy, and cost-effectiveness of automated order processing, eliminating the chaos of manual entry. Operating in any currency and any language, Portalink has a reputation for generating data you can trust. With Portalink Any Order, customer service teams are liberated from tedious data entry tasks. They can now focus on engaging with customers and driving business growth and customer satisfaction. Portalink has a prestigious list of clients, including companies like Saint-Gobain, Schneider Electric, and Ecolab, whose combined revenue exceeds $100 billion per annum. Portalink has automated more than 80,000 customer accounts across 45 countries for these 3 companies alone. This next-gen VAN adds real value to the value-added network, enabling all businesses to focus on innovation and customer relationships, paving the way for growth.
The other thing I want to say is, I'm not pretending for a minute that, online orders and B2B websites is not important. We think they're super important. I think that every company needs to have a great virtual showroom and give a really good buying experience to the buyers who want to order that way. And I was saying earlier that an online order is the best order a supplier can get. You control the experience, you control the catalog, you control the prices that the buyer is buying at, you can show whether the inventory is available. There is no better order than an online order, particularly if it then is electronically passed into your ERP system. But the exciting thing is that, we're making the worst orders as efficient as EDI, and we're doing it really quickly and seamlessly and frictionlessly. So hopefully that you got a sense of that from that video.
So I'm going to get the panel to answer this question, but starting with you, Tim, before you hang up the phone there, who is this best suited for? Like, we see some big, enterprise names, logos, et cetera. You talked a little bit in the room, but why don't you share with us who's this for?
If you'd asked me that question 6 months ago, I would have said, the biggest end of town, and they're the companies that we have been working with for the last 10 years. And what has been involved in implementing our product is some really deep scoping, integration, building of custom business rules, etc., to deliver the very best outcome. In this last few years, particularly in the last 12 months, we've been able to make those business rules more easier to implement. We've added a lot of AI into our mapping capabilities so that can now be self-service. And the partnership with Shopify means that we can leverage the existing integrations and the deep integrations that you're already doing to service your online ordering customers. And we can then make that available to all of the merchants who are downloading our application in a way that is quite turnkey. So instead of 6 to 9 months, we're now talking about literally a matter of a few days. So yes, it still needs to be configured correctly. Yes, there's still some really valuable input from partners that we're working with that are representing you. But it's a game changer in the sense that now any size merchant, any size supplier can get the benefits of order automation, of offline order automation in a real turnkey capacity.
So Jonathan and Randy, I want to hear from you. Who have you been working with to implement this? Who do you envision as the ideal kind of client profile for this? I'm just kind of curious.
Sure. I'll just build very quickly on what Tim said. So we've been running a private beta for one of the Australian merchants using the Shopify version of AnyOrder, and it was literally days. And so being able to install straight from Shopify App Store using all of the standard native Shopify functionality, have that come through into all of the UI that everyone's familiar with, backed by personal support from the Portalink team. So this is not vaporware. This is real, and those turnaround times are very genuine. On the other hand, we're also working together for a client that does around 300,000 orders per year, that has 8 different business divisions supplying very large customers such as your McDonald's, KFC, all through QSR, through to other manufacturers. Incredibly complicated and diverse business. So yes, all of the above.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to that, I think you can see a value proposition in each of those segments, right? I mean, when we're at enterprise, we're seeing the opportunity to create massive gains in efficiency and really take a lot of cost out of the business and reallocate it into productive tasks. When we look at that mid-market, a lot of times those are private equity owned or private owned companies. They're on a growth journey. And while they're on that growth journey, they tend to be, acquiring assets that aren't fully integrated. Now we have an opportunity to sort of build this integration architecture once and take advantage of it across all these different channels. And then when you look at SMB, they don't have time to be keying in orders. And, that's at the core of where a lot of Shopify merchants are too. And if we can help them to run their business more effectively, that gives them more time to focus on their customers. So, I think I can see a value proposition across all of the different customer segments, as well as just about every vertical I've seen. We were once working with a toy manufacturer, and they showed us the picture. Somebody had written their order on a Post-it note, taken a picture of it, and emailed it or texted it to their sales rep. So, it can happen in that consumer goods industry. We're talking a lot about manufacturers, industrial type manufacturers here. So every industry has this challenge.
So Randy sees a pretty broad range of potential client possibilities. What do you see? Just kind of your early view here.
I think this is a brutal question to go last on. I think that's my number one observation. I'm not sure who I should say outside of everybody, but I wouldn't necessarily think about size or products. Like, I think what you're hearing is like it applies to sizes and products. It applies to every sort of segment in the market. This is going to sound like a little bit of a trap, but it's not really. Like, I would be looking at merchants. If you're a service provider, I'd be looking at the companies that you work with who are right now focused on cost reductions and efficiency. And it sounds like a trap because everybody is, right? But like, no, everybody isn't. Like, some companies right now are purely focused on growth. And they're not going to be looking at necessarily optimizing as where they're going to put their human resources or where they're going to put their capital at this moment. But there are many, many businesses that right now are either victims of macroeconomic trends or are in highly commoditized and competitive markets where efficiency is the survival lever for them. And that's where I'd be looking. I'd be looking at places where they've got a great big call center processing orders right now, which is just massively inefficient. And it's just not going to continue to exist, but something and someone needs to process those orders. Those are the opportunities I'd be looking for.
Yeah, I completely, we talked about this earlier. I didn't get a chance to weigh in on that. There was some debate about whether cost effectiveness and efficiency is really a compelling value proposition. It is. I assure you it is, because it ties directly to the ROI argument. You mentioned this earlier, right? ROI. Somebody said this is the easiest thing you've ever sold, ROI. I do a lot of research for clients. That's the number one question I get. What's the ROI of this? And for anything you can put an ROI next to, it's got a much better chance of getting funded than, I don't care if you're curing cancer. If you can't put an ROI next to it, it's not going to get the investment dollars. So one of the things that came up, and I was reminded of a story when I was back at Forrester about 10, 12 years ago. I was working with a very large B2B company that had a division in Brazil, and they were trying to make the investment case for e-commerce back in the day. And what was fascinating about it was the one value proposition they landed on of all, I always say there's increased revenue, there's decreased cost, there's customer satisfaction. The one they landed on was order rate reduction. They calculated it was about 15% of all the orders that were keyed in or taken over the phone had an error in them. And so they said, if we can just cut that in half, I think in their cases, it was like $7 or $8 million immediately, just for order error rate reduction, which I know is one of the hallmarks of what you guys are doing. So I'm kind of curious, Tim, how often do you go in with that as your sales pitch? We can reduce your order rates, because it doesn't sound, it's not gripping, but it's real.
I think there's a number of points that have been touched on just in the last 5 minutes. I think reduction of error rates is a hugely valuable result. Accelerating order to shipment cycles equally, I think, is in a time where the world expects everything instantly. When you're 70% of your orders you can't ship same day, or you're missing key deadlines and you're getting penalties for late deliveries. I think accelerating order to shipment cycles is really valuable. I think somebody said about being able to scale more rapidly or grow. We've got some customer examples where they have reduced their order entry effort by 85%. And so where let's say if they had 10 people in their customer service team, they had 1.5 or so processing orders, but they were then able to grow their business 20% per annum for 5 years without increasing the size of their customer service team. I think that's enormously valuable, instead of ending up with 100 or 200 people in your customer service team.
Well, plus there's friction that's built into the product, which is the enemy of everything, right? Is the friction. But what about the opportunity cost of using sales reps and customer service representatives to enter erroneously orders into a system? Should they be doing higher value stuff?
Yes, but I also think, and this goes to the heart of customer experience. I think all of us in the industry are probably a little sick of hearing customer experience. It's sort of been the mantra for the last few years, and in a lot of ways that translates into, a beautiful design and great UX. Hang on, getting the order right first time fast, that's customer experience. Okay. So yes, there's a really strong commercial argument for this, but it's also about customer experience, which directly translates into brand. So this goes to the CMO as much as it goes to the CFO.
Yeah, I think that, if you look at a B2B relationship, trust is usually at the core of it. I'm signing a contract. It's a long-term relationship that I'm building with my customer. And trust is something that's difficult to gain, but easily broken. So if we think about order errors, if I took an order in by EDI and it's sitting on a server log in an exception file somewhere and nobody notices it, and I have never shipped and the customer assumed I did, and they're running their plant and they need that material to continue to run their plant, I've broken their trust, and that's very hard to regain. So these kinds of solutions are critical for building that trust.
So that's the perfect segue to the last question I have about trust, because obviously, have anybody heard of AI? So obviously AI has been infused into everything, whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, it's everywhere. And one of the problems with AI is that it can hallucinate. and to your trust point, I'm seeing companies kind of slow walk it a little bit. And for some reason, in some cases, the right reasons, in some cases, the wrong reasons. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But the AI question, I think you mentioned earlier that you guys obviously use AI in your technology. You have competitors that use AI. Some of them maybe don't control it as well as you do. Tim, you first and the rest of you. Talk to us about what the AI means and how you're sort of preventing it from going awry.
Well, the first thing I'd say is that AI is very exciting and has some really exciting applications within B2B. But I'd also say that it's very overhyped at the moment. And we call them AI pop-ups, where companies are using, slapping together some OCR technology with, AI and saying, we've got the silver bullet to this problem. Well, I can tell you after 10 years of building this, and it's really complex what we're doing, it's not that easy. And so the first thing I'd say is that we've got some really sophisticated technology that we've built over that 10-year period, and AI is sitting on top of that and complementing that in a really good way. The second thing, to the hallucination point, which is really important, is that there will be some really bad outcomes if these companies are trusting AI to process every order, because AI will find an answer to a problem. If it doesn't know it's 100% correct, it will find the next closest thing it can. And in what we're doing, that just doesn't play out well. We have to be 100% accurate all the time, and accuracy is our core mantra.
Yeah, that feels like a non-negotiable in B2B. A lot of companies don't appreciate. They're like, close enough's good enough, right? No, it's not.
So if I could just finish, where we've used AI, it's to accelerate the mapping process, and we've introduced it in a very clever way so that we're achieving that outcome, but we are not putting any of our customers at risk by using AI as the sole tool to process every order.
Randy?
Yeah, no, that's great. All right.
No, I was going to say Brandon should go because he was complaining about being last. So you get to go first now.
Well,
he's waiting.
I'm gonna aim to answer this in every conceivable way, so you guys feel my pain.
Leave nothing for us.
Oh, look, I completely agree, right? Like, we can be in an AI hype cycle, and AI can be the most transformative technology of the last 15 years. Like, those are not mutually exclusive. I think, like, the real question is, where is the person in the chain? And whether it's for order management, whether it's for order facilitation, whether it's for any business application at all, I think the right question to be asking is, what are the checks and balances that exist here? And how are they not getting in the way of efficiency gains, but creating the right protections for my business and for your business? And like, I think that is the question of 2026 as we're looking at business technologies. Every single thing you hear is going to be .ai. I'm a salesperson. I'm required to mention AI in every single conversation that I have. But like, I think that is the question of the next year, maybe 18 months. Where's the person in the chain? How does it protect my business?
Yeah, and I think, as I go into our clients and prospects, just about every C-suite is required to make a commitment to their board to make some kind of AI investment. And they're looking for places where they can put structure and safety around it, but also show some ROI. And I think, taking advantage of Portalink technology is a way that a CEO can go back to their board, to their investors, and say, here's the things we're doing with AI, here's the results. And the nice thing about this is, in these B2B constructs, we have some structure around data, whether it's, product catalogs, price lists, accounts. We have structure that we can train off of, and there's guardrails built into the Portalink system to make sure that they stay structured around that core commercial data that the merchant owns. And this gives a CEO a way to show a successful AI implementation to their investors.
I got to make one comment on the ROI AI thing. So we did, through Master B2B, we did about 15 in-person roundtables last year. And one of the questions we would ask is about AI. And at the end of the year, I started hearing a pretty consistent theme, which is people said they had, and I kid you not, basically an unlimited budget for AI projects. And the more they were owned by a PE firm, the more that answer came up. To your point, so they have to commit to the C-suite that they're doing AI, which means go spend the money. So a lot of vendors were like, well, in that case, we're AI now, right? At the same time, they couldn't hire anybody. So I heard this no hire, no fire world that we're living in. And at the same time, I can spend all this money on AI. So maybe that's good news for you, Tim. But did you want to say something? That's right. Is it Shopify.ai now? Good.
Yeah, look, I think the AI is unavoidable and vital, but the interesting thing is that many of the problems or questions that it's answering are actually really basic and simple still. So one that this is something for everyone to take back tomorrow. One of my favorite acronyms in an industry that's full of acronyms. Anyone know WSMO? Yeah. Okay. Well, of course, Chad knows WSMO because Chad's in order fulfillment. WSMO is where is my order? Go back to your team tomorrow and ask your call center what fraction of their inbound calls are WSMO. You will be shocked. Typically 50% of the inbound calls to the call center are people inquiring, where's my order? Okay. Imagine the ability to put an MCP in front of this through Shopify, through other tools, to be able to answer that really simple but crucial question. That's a game changer.
Yeah, it's like the number one question to restaurants used to be is, what time do you close? It's the same thing. I mean, these are answerable in other ways. We've got a few minutes left. If somebody has any question in the audience, I would start thinking about a question. Okay, great. You can direct your question to anybody and make sure that Brandon comes last.
I'll do my best on that. Mark Vasquez, I work for a manufacturing company. We are a global manufacturer of all kinds of industrial products. One of the challenges I have, I was really excited seeing this happening today. We struggle with this problem, obviously, of all these offline orders. Sitting as the e-commerce director, I see our website and our portals as ways to get this to be solved. Our IT team sees it as it should go directly to the ERP. We don't need a website to do it. We don't need any integration. How does your tool, how do you address that when you're trying to make that case that, hey, you want them using the site for price and availability, other features, and then putting their order through electronically using a tool like this to make life easier for everyone?
My answer is this is an and, not an or. So these do not need to be in opposition. In fact, they are perfectly complementary. So some of the great wins we've had is actually using existing infrastructure that have been put in place for e-com to piggyback that. It provides a single source of truth for all of the things that Randy was talking about, of those guardrails around the customers' credit limits, their available balance, what their inventory reservations and allocations are that you've got per customer, let alone the ranging, all those sorts of things. Don't do it twice. Do it once and leverage that. But also coming back to that customer experience, Justin King, who many of us here know from a longtime speaker in B2B, he's very much around getting take up of your web portal is driven by convenience, right? So provide that one-stop shop where people can see all of their order history, check on their order status, all those sorts of things will translate into greater use of the web portal because you've habitualized that. And then you have the product discovery. You have access to all of that rich product data, and all your investment in the web is enabled and lifted because of adding in this other automation.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
What the angle I'd like to come from is the fact that if we think about the way mid-sized, large organizations manage orders now, and you touched on this at the beginning, Andy, when you were talking about omni-channel and in B2B is something that's never really been achieved. But if you've got all of your orders, whether they be online, best orders you can get, or EDI or offline, and there's a really good business case for doing that. You've got one customer service team that's managing all of those orders in a single platform or through a single pane of glass. The efficiencies that come with that and the productivity gains that are achieved are enormous. And I really like a point that was touched on earlier about, what does that mean going back the other way? Where the focus is always about creating a great buyer experience. We're talking now about creating a great merchant experience. But if that great merchant experience also means that we can extend valuable information more rapidly and in a more dynamic way through a single portal back to the customer, no matter how they're placing their orders, and that becomes the source of truth for information for the buyer, I think that's a really exciting conversation.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Just raise your hand. Well, I think we're running up against time here because I know that you have to. Oh, you just got shut down, didn't you? Well, perfect. In closing, I just want to hear from each of you about what are your kind of last thoughts here, final thoughts about this partnership, about where you see this going, or just anything random, like where you think AI is going to destroy humanity or not. Brandon, you get to go first.
I think it might destroy humanity. Look, I think B2B has been long suffering from an innovation standpoint. And we were talking earlier, one of the things I said that we hear from our customers in B2B is we need a B2B omni-channel solution. We don't need omni-channel broadly where B2B is some little sliver of it. B2B itself is this massive market that operates in myriad different ways. We do not need an answer that sounds like shove all of your buyers into the exact same order workflow, because it's not going to happen to all the earlier points. And it feels like where we're at now is we are at this moment where we can go to our customers, to your customers, to some of the merchants who are in the room here and say, this is what an omni-channel solution looks like for B2B. And so I encourage you to take a look at the solutions that we're talking about tonight. Give us feedback. Let us know what looks like it works and what looks like it doesn't. And look forward to having those conversations.
Excellent. Randy.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to, early days of B2B digital transformation. And I can remember, interviewing executive stakeholders and always, what are you trying to accomplish? Easy to do business with. I'm always trying to become easy to do business with, right? And what does that really mean? It means allowing your customers to interact with you the way that they want to, but it also means you having all the information at your fingertips that you need to manage that relationship with the customer as well. So I think, Tim made a really good point that not having to swivel chair around, your commercial teams, customer service, sales, et cetera, and seeing the whole customer is really important in that being able to become easy to do business with. So this is a great way to move in that direction.
It's such a fundamental thing, isn't it? I mean, that's always been the case. It always will be the case, right? Jonathan.
Keep it short. Every single customer who we've taken this to and shown has said, I need this. Normally, when we put a new technology, a new offering in front of clients, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. No, I need this.
Yeah, hard to top that. You might have just dropped the mic literally and said, that's it.
Let's have a drink. No, look, I think that we're excited about working with Shopify and seeing how we can together truly unify commerce. And again, omni-channel unified commerce in the B2B space, it's complex, it's hard. This is why it hasn't been achieved. People have chipped away at the problem, 10% here, 5% there of automation, but there's this long tail of manual chaos. So to be able to solve that and hopefully solve it en masse with Shopify, and Shopify is just such a perfect gateway for this to happen with global reach and a really good portfolio of global customers. I think that hopefully we can start to make a difference, and I'm excited about that.
Well, on that note, Brandon, Randy, Jonathan, Tim, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mark, for organizing this. Thank you to the Australian American Association and Stephen Marshall. Thank you for all of you for coming as well. And I think it's not over with, right? There's food and drink to continue, and I will be here for a bit longer. And so everybody enjoy the evening.